Good afternoon and welcome to the first Provost Conversation Online Learning of this year 2019. We are hoping through these Provost Conversations to feature public talks by leading experts on the future of education and particularly online education. And the goal is to share knowledge that enhances our teaching and learning efforts, not only online, but also for our on-campus programs. We are really honored and delighted to welcome to our campus two wonderful guests from the University of Pennsylvania, Peter DeCherney and Nora Lewis. Peter is a faculty member in the School of Arts and Sciences at UPENN of Cinema and Media Studies as well as English. And he's the director of the Cinema and Media Studies program, as well as, for the purpose of this presentation, the faculty director of the university-wide online learning initiative of UPENN. And Nora Lewis is the vice dean for professional and liberal education, again in the School of Arts and Sciences at UPENN, where she has been since 1993. And she's overseeing the launch of this exciting new fully online Bachelor of Applied Arts and Sciences. So please join me in welcoming our guests, Peter and Nora, to campus.
Thank you to Soulaymane and Columbia for inviting us to come and talk. As Soulaymane said, I'm Nora Lewis from the College of Liberal and Professional Studies. And as Peter referenced, we were founded about 130 years ago to be Penn's outreach to working adults in Philadelphia. And we've offered an undergraduate degree since 1906. Our mission today is really to extend a Penn Arts and Sciences education to learners across the lifespan. We really continue our original founding focus on working adults and non-traditional students, but we do learning across the lifespan from high school through learning in retirement. We are part of the School of Arts and Sciences, so just a little bit of context. We're one of 3 education divisions. Part of our mission, because of the audiences we serve and the diversity of them, we are degree heavy, but we also do non-degree credit programming and increasingly more and more non-credit from high school, international programs, coding boot camps, training programs for working professionals, lots of MOOCs. We think of ourselves and we think of our mission as also being one of innovation, particularly in program design, program delivery, pedagogy. We were the first place at Penn to do anything in the online space going back about 20 years. We've been offering 4-credit online courses in the summer session since about the year 2000. It went back too far to be on Peter's timeline, but we offered the first blended or hybrid master's program at Penn in 2005 with our Master of Applied Positive Psychology. That has always been kind of part of our DNA for at least a couple decades now. So the project that I wanted to just very briefly give you an overview of and try to leave plenty of time for questions, so I won't go into a lot of detail, but it originated with a new dean coming on board in Arts and Sciences in 2013, and as I'm sure Columbia does, we do regular reviews of our academic departments, academic programs. Our new dean came in. We were looking at the undergraduate degree in LPS, which, as Peter referenced, is the same Bachelor of Arts degree we deliver to our College of Arts and Sciences, more traditional residential undergraduates. And primarily bricks and mortar face-to-face classes every week, 32 to 36 courses on campus, 14-week semesters. And yet our audience is an audience that's working, raising families, caring for elderly relatives, commuting, they're veterans, they're active duty military. And our dean was like, why does this look so much like the way we do it for our 18 to 22-year-olds who live on campus and are full-time? It doesn't really make sense. And if we think about where we are in the 21st century, and we think about what LPS has been doing in the online space, why are we doing our undergraduate degree this way? So he said, your mission has always been access. I want you to think about access and your undergraduate program. So my team decided, okay, if we were going to build a bachelor's degree today in the 2010s for our target audience, what would that look like? Thinking again about our mission being primarily to increase access and affordability which is a huge component of access. Leverage better our experiences thinking about innovative program design and delivery. So as Soulaymane said, online delivery is just one element of our thinking about the program design and shaking things up for our students. But to maintain our core identity as part of the arts and sciences, but trying to be much more intentional in engaging with employers and the employment sector and looking at the professional outcomes for our non-traditional undergraduate degree seekers, as well as thinking about their academic experience in the courses themselves. So our audience for the program are really multiple audiences in terms of what their ultimate goals are. We definitely have degree seekers, those without a bachelor's degree whose goal is to complete a bachelor's degree. We already have in our undergraduate BA courses on campus students who you might refer to as post-bacs. They already have a bachelor's degree, but they're taking one or more additional undergraduate courses, either just to stay intellectually active and engaged, or because they may be preparing to apply to graduate school. They might be making a career transition or looking for something that will help them advance in their careers. So we have a lot of course takers who are seeking that kind of intellectual experience at the level of one or two courses. What we didn't offer in our BA degree program, but is part of the design of the new program, are alternative credentials. So those who may not have the time right now to complete an entire 30-plus course bachelor's degree, but taking a group of courses in a thematic area with a professional connection, like data analytics or applied positive psychology, they could earn a certificate. And that credential would help them in terms of where they are in their career journey, or their, whatever their goals might be, can serve both pre-baccalaureate and post-baccalaureate students. So adding that certificate seeker to our audience. So thinking about that audience, thinking about our goals for the redesign, the elements of the program were to offer a full bachelor's degree as the platform, but also have opportunities for people to earn certificates, either on their way to the bachelor's degree, or maybe they already have a bachelor's degree, as I said, maybe even a master's degree, but they want to come back and retool, refresh to keep pace with the rapid changes that Peter referenced out in the real world. Extensive use of online and hybrid delivery. When we started this, our dean was not anticipating that we would come forward with a proposal for a completely online degree, and we kind of shocked the system a little bit. But in fact, our goal is for learners, whether they're doing courses, certificates, or the degree, to be able to do it completely online. I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the design curriculum. Again, looking at the research on adult learners, thinking about much of our audience juggling all of these other life obligations while they're also trying to study, we decided to stay within the university's academic semester footprint, but offer courses in a compressed half semester, 8-week format. So that a student, for instance, could still carry a half-time load of 2 courses in an academic semester, but only have to take them one at a time. So almost all of the courses in the degree program will be in this half semester format. Very intentional employer engagement is a part of the design. So in doing the market research, before we started thinking about redesign, we not only looked at all of the data on our current students, we also did a lot of primary and secondary research on and with employers as part of looking at what are they seeking in people that they're looking to hire with a bachelor's degree, particularly people who might be not 21 or 22 years old, but a little bit older and may come with work experience. People who may already be in their organization, or people that they would hire into their organization, people that they're looking to advance in their organization. So gathering that research on employers, we also formed an employer advisory board that has been very involved with us in thinking about program design, thinking about curriculum, thinking about the element in the name of the new degree that is applied. So there's a very intentional focus in the curriculum and in the wraparound to the degree program that's about applying the foundational arts and sciences education to professional contexts, to work, and trying to help our students translate what they're learning into and articulate that to employers. which was one of the gaps that we heard a lot about in talking to employers, is the students have a great education, but they can't really talk about it in a way that's relevant to what I'm looking for on the job or in my hire. So this is a new degree with a different name. It's a Bachelor of Applied Arts and Sciences. And believe it or not, this is where we started, was what are we going to call this degree, was like the first question we talked about in my team. It was the very last thing we decided on. And probably the most controversial was the degree name. The curriculum for the degree, some elements of it may look more traditional than others. So there are foundational courses, which are kind of your gen ed requirement that all students are required to do: writing, quantitative methods, qualitative methods, scientific reasoning, ethics. There are 8 courses they have to take in the foundations. We intentionally, the concentrations are equivalent to a major, but we are intentionally not calling them majors, because a major in the Bachelor of Arts is 12 courses going in depth in a particular academic discipline. In the new degree program, these are interdisciplinary, and students build them. There's some element of student choice in how they combine groups of courses from different areas to build out their major or concentration. So for instance, organizational studies is built through a combination of courses in organizational anthropology, leadership and communication, applied positive psychology, with some support from data analytics and professional writing. So that's just an example of, again, it's not all courses in one academic department or field. They do have electives, and many of their electives may be brought in as transfer credit, because most of our non-traditional learners have prior higher education study at one or more institutions, and so we do evaluate and award transfer credit for much of their prior learning. An e-portfolio is not a graded assignment. It doesn't carry academic credit, but it's a requirement to graduate with a degree, and it's built into every course. From the first course that students take, the instructors are intentionally working with students, and our career advisor is working with them on thinking about what learning artifacts from each course do they want to put into their portfolio, and how are they going to build the story that they want to tell by the end of the degree via what they put into the e-portfolio. There is a capstone activity, a capstone project that every student does in one of their final courses, no matter which concentration they pick. And then the capstone is an option, a capstone sort of conference or academic presentation is one of the options for the required residency. So I said at the beginning our goal was to make the degree fully online. This was one of the points of debate and discussion with our faculty as we were going through the design of the program and the approval process. There was a feeling that these are students who are going to be getting a Penn degree, and it's really important for these students to have an experience here at Penn, for them to feel connected to the university, for us to see them on our campus. And so we have built into the degree requirements 2 residencies. They're both very short in terms of what will satisfy the residency requirement. So for instance, in several of the foundational courses, the intro writing course, the cross-cultural communication course, they're hybrid, and they include an intensive 3-day weekend on campus of coursework and other academic activities, meeting with advisors, meeting with faculty, tours of campus, things like that. That happens in the first year of their program. They have to do one of the residencies. At the end of the program, there are options for them to complete the second residency requirement, but one will be this kind of culminating academic conference and an opportunity to really present elements of their e-portfolio and elements of their capstone projects to the larger academic community and to get feedback. Our employers will be very engaged with both residencies, so there's also opportunities for career mentoring and career networking as part of those. As I mentioned, students can also take individual courses or complete 4 to 6 courses, certificates that have some sort of professional relevance. And these may be intermediate steps for pre-baccalaureate students or career transition, career advancement opportunities for post-baccalaureate and master's students. They may also be runways into some of our professional master's degree programs. So for instance, our climate change certificate may get someone started with an interest in Master of Environmental Studies or something of that nature. There are 3 pathways for admission into the program. So if you are just a course taker or a certificate seeker, we have open enrollment. This is something we've experimented with for probably the better part of a decade in our summer sessions. We find there's a high level of self-selection, and our hypothesis is that will be true with the new online program. To get into bachelor's degree candidate status, there's two pathways in. Our standard admissions process, which is what we use now for our BA degree. We don't require standardized admissions tests because they're not really predictive for our population, but we do require, an application with essays, references, all transcripts, interview. So we will continue a standard admissions process. If people haven't taken prior higher ed courses, or maybe they started college right out of high school, crashed and burned, and now they're ready, they're motivated, they want to start over. We have a Prove Your Way In option. Students have to do 4 of the required foundation courses, get a B or better in each one, and that will allow them to satisfy the kind of academic part of the admissions process. Our standing faculty are heavily engaged in this program. It's an opt-in for arts and sciences, but we've been fortunate to have a really core group of supporting faculty Peter referenced. But there are multiple roles that the new online program offer them beyond what they do in our current on-campus program, which is primarily teach. Instruction is still a role that faculty may choose to do, but our standing faculty tend to be more involved in course design, mentoring other types of instructors, and definitely academic oversight at the level of courses, clusters, concentrations, and the whole program. So we've got different groups of faculty engaged in all of those. This is my last slide. So real quickly, the timeline. This year we're piloting 5 of the certificates just as a sort of, with a very limited cap on enrollment, just sort of proof of concept and to give us a ramp up to make sure we're ready, and things that we didn't think about, we acknowledge now and get ready for the full degree launch. We are starting to admit students for fall. The full degree program will be open to its first cohort of students in the fall. And then we will, at that point, have an admissions entry point every half semester. So first group of students will begin at the end of August, second group of students will begin at the end of October. So we'll have 6 entry points during the year. Those are my prepared slides, just really quickly, because I wanted to leave some time for your questions, and happy to.
Thank you very much.
I guess something to add is just that we think both of these programs, the MCIT program and BAS, will be at scale. I know MCIT is hoping to be about 1,000 students at a standard state. What about BAS?
Yes, so I think our expectation is we will, in the first year again, because a lot of the courses that we're offering are courses we have not done online before, and we know that the audience may be a little bit different from our current audience. So we have caps on a number of the courses so that faculty really make sure the students have a good experience, and then we have time to do whatever tweaking or redesign in between the initial offering and subsequent offerings. So we're thinking between 200 and 300 students in the degree program in the first year, and then our hope is to scale, absolutely. But being ready to scale.
This is the fun part of these conversations. That's when we start the conversation with Q&A session. Let me start with a couple of questions. So the first one has to do with program quality and ensuring that you have high touch point experience like you have for the on-campus programs, advising, retention. You talked a little bit about, you talked about the course design, you talked about potentially even the career placement part, but how are you thinking about the student engagement? And you talk also about the residencies,
Right.
But how do you make sure that in between the students are completing the work and
Right.
are having an experience similar to the one that they have currently on campus?
Right. Great question. It's something that we've been spending a lot of time thinking about. The redesign of the program has really caused us to rethink and redesign our organization. So we've created new staff roles and some existing staff roles, like the role of the advisor currently in the new online degree program. Really, we're thinking about it as a student success coach almost. It's a student success advisor. I think the role of technology in academic administration is really important too. So we're looking at trying to utilize a lot of the excuse me, kind of data analytics programs that are out there for not only enrollment management, but also student retention, and very proactively identify students and have lots of touch points for them. We've created a community life manager position who will be working with a platform that's all around student life for the virtual program for the online students, and kind of intentionally engaging them in building community, building cohort, creating shared user group experiences even outside the classroom. So, and then we do have a dedicated career position in our College of Liberal and Professional Studies that will be working with our Central University Career Services, but that will really be focusing on the students in the online program and working with our employer advisory board and creating those sort of connections for them.
We also say across the board, all of these things are being employed. So instructional design, close analysis of data. We have so much more data about online learning than we have about on-campus learning. And we're constantly using it to try to rethink classes. There is a much more iterative process about the creation of online courses in which they're reviewed and rethought each time they're offered. I mean, actually, this kind of use of data in online learning is another major, major change that's coming to universities and the on-campus world as well.
You have a typical target of number of students per course, so that the experience is similar to what you have for the on-campus programs?
Yeah, it varies as it does for on-campus programs. I mean, Peter can speak to the masters and some other things, but so for instance, writing courses are being kept intentionally smaller. We're adding sections. Other courses can take a larger group of students in one section, but we add a TA for every 25 students, and we, can break them out into recitation groups and other things. So I would say we probably target across all the courses an average enrollment of 30 students per class, but it varies within that. I mean, you may only have 15 in a writing class, but you may have 50 in world music.
So, can we ask you questions?
Absolutely.
So, is there a chance that Columbia would start an online BA in their extension school?
I would gladly deflect and engage our Vice Dean of the School of General Studies, Curtis Rogers, who can talk about the possibility of maybe first experimenting with online courses within the School of General Studies before going into a fully online bachelor degree. Curtis, can you share your thoughts?
I'm interested in you talked about the need to serve non-traditional students and to meet them where they are. And I understand the pressure points of that. With the School of General Studies, we have obviously a fully non-traditional student body, and working adults, financial pressures, parents who are raising children, and veteran population, on and on. So that complexity exists for us. So thinking about that, one of the things that I think we're challenged by is that one of the main things that we emphasize is this fully integrated model, fully integrated with the Faculty of Arts and Sciences, and that the basic premise of our program for many years now is that we're giving our students the same experience that they would have gotten had they come to Columbia as a 17 or 18-year-old, except we're providing the support services and academic support services that are designed to help them achieve success. So we've got to kind of think differently in that approach if we're going to transition or even create some sort of hybrid approach to that. And I think for us, we probably have to start with thinking about transitional support programming, some sort of hybrid approach, some sort of pathway in, but it would be a pretty fundamental shift to our design. I think there's a larger question for us as an institution, really, when it comes to undergraduate education, that we have to think about when we haven't really figured out this question of modality at the undergraduate level at Columbia. I think that's a bigger issue, and I think the GS student body would be part of that conversation. And maybe it's a way for us to start thinking about that by looking at the non-traditional student body. So we're a little behind the curve in comparison to you.
I would say structurally, being behind the curve has to do with the fact that the School of General Studies and the School of Professional Studies are two separate schools within Arts and Sciences when they are combined at Penn. And as a result, the School of Professional Studies already offers master's programs on campus, online, and in hybrid formats. And they have an online unit that is actually a fairly sizable unit. The School of General Studies doesn't have the same capability that SPS has, but they're both sister schools within Arts and Sciences, so there could be a conversation here between the two schools to collaborate on undergraduate if there is buy-in from the faculty and from leadership. And our Senior Associate Dean of SPS, Eric Nelson, now will provide the SPS perspective.
Well, thank you very much for your presentation. I appreciate that. One thing I just wanted to ask you about, you talked about course design and so forth. What are you doing to support your faculty in the transition from teaching face-to-face to online? Do you have professional development that you put together for them? How long does it last?
So we have our own Center for Teaching and Learning, and certainly supporting online learning has become a big part of what they do. And so there are faculty-to-faculty workshops, brown bag lunches, just to get people a sense of what's happening in online classes. Still, for many faculty members, the first online class they ever enter is the one they're teaching in. So we've actually developed a full online course that prepares faculty to teach online. We've had some schools, like our School of Social Policy and Practice, that have had their entire faculty do this course. And I know they found it transformational, and that's one reason they have 2 online degrees when most schools at Penn don't even have one. Other schools have used it more selectively. We also, I think, are developing a great team of instructional designers, not just centrally, but across campus. They meet regularly once a month. And I know that the faculty who come and teach online for us come out transformed, and hopefully we'll tell other people about that experience.
And I think the other thing we've done, and Peter was our faculty fellow for online learning for a while, but in arts and sciences, and I think maybe more broadly across the university, there are certain faculty who have taught online, are very comfortable teaching online, and they've been our ambassadors in going and talking to departments. So it's one thing if I, as a vice dean, go and talk to an academic department, but when I go with Peter or Peter Struck or Al Filreis and talk to the faculty, and they have been where these faculty are now, and they can really speak to the experience in the first person, to their peers. I think that's been hugely important too in terms of developing the comfort level and the willingness to really engage.
And building on that question, in terms of the delivery of these online courses for the bachelor program, it's not only faculty, it's also graduate students who are playing a big role in this new online bachelor program. What type of training are you also thinking about for graduate students and their involvement?
So Nora had a great slide that showed that there are many more roles. There can be many more roles in teaching an online course than teaching an on-the-ground, a live, and on-campus course. The person who develops the course might not be the person who teaches it, who delivers it. In some ways, developing an online course is a little bit more like developing a multimedia textbook, where you can create assessments and videos, other kinds of interactive animations or experiments, and then someone else can actually teach the class using all of that material. And so you're kind of halfway between creating the textbook that's used in the class and the person who's delivering the lectures. And so this is a lot of departments have realized that this is a great way to give graduate students more teaching experience, to mentor graduate students through teaching. And I said this earlier, but even the faculty and the departments that are the most resistant to online education realize that their graduate students don't have the luxury of questioning it, that they'll be teaching in online environments at some point. And so they've thought this is actually a really great opportunity for grad students to have some experience online.
And I think going back 2 years now, our Center for Teaching and Learning, working with Online Learning Initiative, Arts and Sciences Online Learning, developed a workshop especially for PhD students who are thinking about teaching online to introduce them to that and really help them start to get started. And that was open to PhD students across the entire university. So.
It was a great presentation, thank you. I have a question about the technology side. For the technology, did you have to do a massive shift into a new technology, or were you able to utilize the existing ones and then blend into the new way of delivery?
Yeah, so we have 12 schools, and there are at least 100 different solutions to online teaching across the 12 schools. So our on-campus LMS, for most of the schools, actually not all of them, is Canvas. So Nora will tell you about using Canvas for the BAS. The Master of Computer and Information Technology program is on Coursera. Most of our, we have MOOCs on Coursera and on edX. We even have open courses that we teach on Canvas Catalog. So we all the above is the answer.
So you were able to leverage a lot of the existing technology that was there and able to deliver online programs to these.
Yes, and also develop things for online programs that we hope will find their way into on-campus programs. I mentioned this a little earlier, but we've developed these self-grading or auto-grading programs for the engineering program that the engineering school is really excited about and can't wait to use in existing classes.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges is a slide that Peter showed in terms of building the virtual campus. So we have so many different pieces of technology now, including some third-party vendor provided things for sort of community cohort engagement building. How do we wrap all of those in a seamless way for the learner? So they have a single point of entry, and it's easy to find what they're looking for and direct them to the right resources. So I think what the Online Learning Initiative is doing in building the virtual campus is going to be huge for us.
Thank you.
You will invariably be getting requests from your on-campus undergraduate students who have course conflicts, asking if they can take the version of the course that is online because it better suits their schedule, or because they need some course to graduate and they are not able to do that. How are you thinking about that, somewhat enhancing or disrupting, depends how you see it, your undergraduate education on campus?
Well, I think, for one thing, this is a different degree with a different curriculum, so the courses don't count toward the Bachelor of Arts degree. They're not the same courses. Course names, course numbering, course titles are different to distinguish them, to try to make it clear this is in the Bachelor of Applied Arts and Sciences, this is in the Bachelor of Arts, so that we won't, we will try to make that clear. I think the challenge is going to be we are offering some content areas that are very attractive to undergraduates, like applied positive psychology. That is not something that's really in our undergraduate curriculum right now. We have a master's degree in it, and again, we're thinking about these pathways for students through different content areas. So at the moment, there's a bright line, and undergraduates the courses in the new degree program don't count toward the BA, and vice versa. So
I'll also try to avoid the question.
I answered it. I didn't avoid it.
Right. So universities that do this, the University of Illinois, for example, find it incredibly appealing to undergraduates and really helpful in helping them achieve their educational goals. There are other universities, like Harvard, where you can sign up for courses that are conflicting times because the lectures are recorded and you can watch them later. And I know this is something that students want, as you suggest, and that can be really effective. At least in the School of Arts and Sciences at Penn, there are no plans to do it to have this available as an option for undergrads for a while.
And when courses do look similar, and invariably there will be courses, are you planning to measure learning and outcomes between the on-campus and the online courses and try to potentially make a case that the online format, when it's well controlled, can actually be even better for some learners?
I think our curriculum committee in the School of Arts and Sciences, the faculty are engaging and talking about this right now. Remember, we have been offering online for credit courses in the summer sessions for almost 20 years, and those courses are primarily peopled by our residential undergraduates. It's the one time of year that they have online courses available to them, and they do take them for the reasons that you state, convenience and getting a jump on their triple majors and double minors and all the ambitious things that our Ivy League students do. to. And I think the curriculum committee is engaging with that question and thinking about what is the role of courses delivered online or even blended for a residential population, where the residential experience is really primary, and kind of thinking about what can be done effectively face-to-face and what's the role of online. So, I don't think there are answers, Soulaymane, but there are definitely, the faculty are thinking about this and talking about it. We definitely plan to be assessing a lot of aspects of the program, including, achievement of learning outcomes, post-degree career outcomes. I think, again, our population is a very different population, and for the most part, they start from a different point than our residential students, and I think that has to be considered as well.
As everyone said, thanks for this presentation. It's great. I'm curious to hear what kind of resources you dedicate to challenges of accessibility for online courses. As far as course development goes and faculty training is concerned.
So there are already, as you probably know, standards for accessibility and in course design. They're absolutely part of, all of our instructional designers pay a lot of attention to this, and there are annual conferences to kind of make sure they're up to date, and building this online student portal. We're working with a company, and this is something they're experts in as well. Like so many things, all of the elements of course design that we are doing to be compliant with accessibility standards make the course generally better for everyone. But definitely something we think about in every meeting.
Thank you for the presentation. I think in traditional learning, I think the constraint is physical space and the availability of classrooms, etc., and that constrains the growth of the different programs. This is a constraint that is completely disappears with online learning. So how do you tap into that growth potential, but still maintaining, being selective, which is what academic institutions such as UPENN has built their reputation on?
It's a great question. And so certainly accessibility is one part of the core mission of our university. We offer financial aid and send people around the world to try to recruit great students. And so by opening the university to students who can't study on campus is another way of this kind of accessibility we've always sought. On the other hand, this is a new kind of student for the most part, working professionals. And so I think it's not exactly competing with many of our existing programs. For the most part, we're trying to teach students who we couldn't teach because they wouldn't be able to come to campus. That's not exactly a great answer to your question, but at least for now, I don't see that there's a way of cannibalizing what we do, and certainly not changing the standards for admission. We know we can expand the university to many more students without lowering standards at all. There's also this fantasy, it's not exactly what you're saying, but that the internet is run by fairies, and you don't need people to teach online courses, it's hard for many programs to understand that there are servers, and it takes a lot of people to develop and build an online course, right? It takes a village to build an online course. In a way, it doesn't. One faculty member with a chalkboard or a projector can often teach an on-campus course. You also need TAs, and as the number of students scale, maybe there are different kinds of interfaces you can use that can help you interact with more students. But ultimately, you need to add more TAs after you reach a certain number of students.
Can you talk a little bit about specific limitations or workarounds based on either certain practices, certain types of courses, or certain pedagogical styles? For example, courses that are workshop-based or project-based or require access to a physical lab space or field work. What do you do? What have you seen work best, and what kind of strategies do you do to work with courses like those?
Yeah, so you can talk to this, but we have so many courses across campus that have so many different modes of pedagogy. So I know you had Al Filreis here a few years ago talk about his his poetry course, there are no lectures in the course. There are cameras that show him having discussions with students, but most of it is about interactions that happen online. And so we tend to think online courses are about a camera in the back of a room, but actually we never do that anymore. There's no school or class on PENN where they put a camera in the back of the room. We've also had courses that are lab courses, and we never launched this course for various reasons, but we developed a course on autonomous cars, on self-driving cars, and we had a kit that you could buy, and you could do the course without the kit, but you could also buy the kit and build your own self-driving car. Yeah, small one, not one you could drive on the highway. We've had in some cases, we found that they can create new laboratory experiments that you couldn't create on campus, where you have students spread out around the globe who can work in different environments and then bring all that into the classroom. So there are ways that you can use the online laboratory in a way you couldn't use an on-campus laboratory. But in general, it's these laboratory courses, studio art courses, which are sometimes the hardest to get your head around and think about how they move online. Tomorrow I have another meeting with the School of Design who really wants to crack this, but after a year of discussion, we still don't quite have it figured out.
I'm curious, I'm not sure you'd be willing to share this, but I'm wondering about the business model side of this. I get the academic arguments that you're making, but just how has this altered your balance sheet in terms of managing the school, the college? The cost side of the equation, the revenue side of the equation. I saw the tuition differentials that you described now. How is that all sorted out over the years you've been planning to change?
Well, so as Peter referenced, I think you have to understand that there's going to be an upfront investment in doing something like this. It's a big investment upfront in the development, and you're not going to recover it immediately. But the idea is again that you push tuition down, make it more affordable, and grow your enrollment, and so there's a lot of complicated modeling over a multi-year period that we're doing on this. There are a lot of unknowns. We have a very big portfolio, and so our undergraduate program area is only one piece of that portfolio. So, I think that one of the things that helps us is we can keep the other part of that portfolio. And I think this goes back to Souleymane's point. We've got non-credit, we've got graduate programs. We're doing other things, and that's remaining stable. But we are getting a lot of support and investment from the university and from the dean. And so I think, our understanding is just that this is something that we're doing for access, for innovation, and over time it will right itself. But in the beginning, it's not about revenue.
Thank you very much for coming. I know you have a train to catch, and I think you have time. But thank you very much for participating in this Provost Conversation on Online Learning.
Thank you.
And we look forward to continuing this conversation as you launch this program and other programs, and you learn. And I think one of the great things about the conferences that we attend is the sharing of information so that we can keep abreast of what's happening on our campuses. So thanks a lot for coming, and please join me in thanking our
Thank you. Thank you.